how to connect GoDaddy domain to GoDaddy hosting, what is DNS, and how to access GoDaddy cPanel. These are few of the topics that we will discuss in this video. We will also look at few of the applications that are available on GoDaddy cPanel. Please subscribe my channel for more such videos and don't forget to hit the bell icon that will keep you notified of any new uploads. Let's try to understand what is DNS and how is it going to help us connecting domain to hosting. Domain name system or DNS can look something like this when you are seeing it on a portal. Any system connected to the internet has an IP address assigned. Now this IP address is given to you by your internet service provider. Now by default the one that you are seeing on the screen is an IPv4 address. Similar to your system IP address, a server gets an IP address assigned to where all our project files are hosted. Now, it's not possible for a human being to remember IP addresses of all the websites that are hosted, which is why we need DNS. DNS basically resolves or translates this IP addresses to a human level language, or probably let's say the name of the domain. The simplest way to connect your domain to a hosting is by changing the area code and change the value of the area code to the IP address of your hosting and configure your web server on your hosting to listen to the domain that you're referring to. This concept will work when you're using a VPS as a hosting and not a shared hosting. I have a video on how you can do that with GoDaddy. I'll put the link in description or you'll have it on top. In case of a shared hosting, depending on the scenario, you have two options. If you bought the domain and hosting from same provider, you don't have to do much, which is what we will try to see in this video. In case if you bought the domain from, let's say, a different service provider and you bought the hosting from, let's say, GoDaddy, you have to change the name server. I already have a video on that where we try to connect GoDaddy to DigitalOcean, basically getting a domain from GoDaddy and linking it to DigitalOcean. I'll also try to make a separate video where you can link a different domain from a separate service provider and link it to a GoDaddy hosting. Let's go ahead on connecting GoDaddy domain to GoDaddy web hosting. Sign in to your GoDaddy account and go down to the My Products section where you'll be able to see a list of domains that you own. Along with that, it will also show you the list of web hosting that you have purchased. In our previous video, we discussed how we can buy a domain as well as we discussed how we can buy a web hosting. In case if you haven't checked, kindly just check the video. I'll add the link. I'll link this domain to the web hosting that we purchased in our previous video. To do that, just click on setup right next to the web hosting product that we have. It will ask us what is the name of the domain that we want to link. Now note that this video talks about you purchasing domain and web hosting from the same provider. So it can be GoDaddy, it can be BigRock, Namecheap, or anything of that sort. So let's say I give in the domain name. The next step involves selecting a data center, which is something that we discussed in our previous video. Now, when you're selecting a data center, you need to ensure that you select the one which is nearest to your customers. Now, if you have a normal website, you can select one which is close to your majority of the users. But if you have a large user base, you might want to consider CDN, which is something we will see in our upcoming videos. Next step, it asks us to, if at all we want to create a WordPress website. For the time being, let's say I don't want it. We'll also have a separate video as to hosting a WordPress website on GoDaddy shared hosting. For the time being, let's say I say no, thank you. It will try to configure and create a cPanel access for us. This process may take some time, but you need to wait until the process is completed. Meanwhile, I wanted to request you to kindly subscribe my channel. That way I can continue making more such videos and help you in a fashion that I can. Please like the video and leave a comment if you have any doubts so far. Once the process is completed, it will give you a link to go to the dashboard where you'll be able to see your server overview, as in what's the IP address of your server, and cPanel login access, and few other details. You will also have an option to enable SSH login, and those are some things that we'll discuss in our upcoming videos. You also have the option to purchase SSL in case if you didn't do purchase web security, and you also have link to your cPanel admin in this dashboard itself. You can also change the data center region, which we configured in our other video, and you have the option to change the PHP version, because some applications has its own PHP version requirements. So depending on that, you can kind of toggle which PHP version that you need. By default, they are offering the latest PHP versions, so I would assume that all applications will be okay with the same. But in case if there's a concern, you can go ahead and change the PHP version from the dashboard. Once we click on the cPanel admin button on the dashboard, it will take us to a cPanel login, and we don't have to separately log in. You'll be able to see the applications that they provide. So by default, you have the option to directly install WordPress, Magento websites. You have something called domain section, file manager, and few other bits. So here, if you click on the domains, you'll be able to see the primary domain which we linked. This referring to the public HTML directory where all our project files would reside that we want to show under this domain. We can also attach a database, basically create a database. We'll be able to create a database here and assign an user as in database user which our application will use. The file manager application helps you to upload project files to the web hosting, shared hosting. You also have an option to utilize SSH and clone your Git project. Plus, you can always use SSH access to upload files using FileZilla. All that three options I'll show in the next video where we'll try to upload a live website project to this shared hosting. Now, if you notice, if you just go to this primary domain and open your website, you will see one of the default HTML file that has been added to your website, which is actually the home.html. If you go down to your file manager, if you go down to the file manager, home.html is the file which we are seeing on the front end. If you try to click and edit, you'll be able to see the code base, and we'll try to make a small change and see, okay, this is the file which is getting referred. This is a HTML view and it shows what all are the content that's there. We'll try to open it in a different view using which we can edit. Okay. So this is basically what is you are seeing on the website. We will simply try to change the title to something different so that we can see the changes. Save the file and we can go back to the website and click refresh. So in this video, we discussed how we can add a domain to a web hosting, considering both web hosting and domain are bought from the same provider. In our next video, we'll discuss how we can upload our projects to web hosting using file manager, SSH, terminal, and FileZilla. To get updates on when I upload next video on this series, please subscribe my channel and please click the bell icon that will give you a notification when I upload next set of videos on my channel.